everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. Today I'm going to do a step-by-step procedure on how I go about fixing a scratch on a door. I'm going to start off with wiping down the panel and take you all the way to final clear coat and unmasking. So let's go. So first thing I'm going to do is get the panels wiped down with some wax and grease remover. I've got DX330. That way we can find any secondary damage, dings, dents, other trails of the scratch. I'm going to follow behind this wax and grease remover with SX394 water cleaner. I can hear the road tar being wiped off of it, so we'll be extra careful and make sure that we get all that before we start painting. Oh yeah, she's dirty. That's what you get for up north salt on the roads, and then they throw the cold patch in the first time it's about 30 degrees. You know how that goes. Further on in the process, I'll be pulling the handles in the mirror. That way our paint tucks underneath everything and we won't have to risk anything peeling. So that's everything we took off. Always want to wipe down your panels so none of this gets sanded in. You'll have a heck of a time trying to paint when you've got grease and road tar all over your vehicle. Okay, so I'm gonna grab the camera and zoom in and show you guys what we got going on. We got that scratch, files into the back door. So my plan of attack for this one, scratch goes from here to here, so I have no reason to need to blend anything into the quarter panel. Same thing with the front door, it's far enough into the middle where I won't have to go anywhere into the fender. So my repair will be based to right here. Get out the water cleaner and do some of that. This water cleaner is not cheap, but it's not too expensive. In my opinion, it's well worth it. I also feel that it could wipe the stripes off the zebra. It's some pretty potent stuff. I do apologize for the audio quality. This is all on my cell phone. Okay. So even though I'm just standing in the middle of the two panels, I'm still going to mask off my edges. That way when I go to do 800 to scuff the whole panel, I don't have to worry about anything crossing over into the other panels, because you don't ever want to have to paint a panel you're not supposed to. Or you scuff this trim down here, better just clock out and go home. Now normally if I was in the body shop, these handles in the mirror, trim, belt molding would all be pulled already, and I would come in and I would 800 the entire panel and then do my repair. But for this one I'm going to leave the panel raw, that way when I prime I can go back afterwards and sand off any primer overspray that might have gotten on the panel before we start the paint process. So I've got 80 grit on here because this is actually a key mark and it's down to almost the bare metal. It's thick, you can hear it with your finger. So I'm going to get this line charged. I'm going to make feather edges. Essentially you want this to be looking like a pond. Nice smooth layers transitioning into each other. If you just sand this repair right here and leave this, you're going to create a high edge. You don't want that. Normally I would use 120, but this is pretty deep, so I'm going to go with this and I definitely retract my previous statement. This is all the way down to the metal. Someone walked by and keyed this so hard it scratched the actual metal under the paint. Yikes. Work confrontation. Gotta love it. So I'm trying to keep my repair as small as I possibly can. This being a brand new, well, 2021's newer. I don't want color going anywhere too far off my repair. I want to keep it as nice and as tight as I can. So now that I've got that sanded down, I'm going to switch to a 320 grit. Make my feather edges, open up my repair a little bit. That way my primer has good adhesion. So, let's use a different rag. 320 wasn't quite as abrasive I had wanted it to be. I thought it was going to open up a little bit better, but give you a wet idea. You can see right here, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5. Looks like there's the E-coat down inside of there. Layers of paint. We want to step it off from here to here to here. I want to open this one up just a feather more. Same thing right here. You see that line's really, really tiny. We want to open that up to about 3/8, almost 1/4 of an inch. Okay, now that I've got the repair opened up a little bit more, I'm going to come in with my interface pad, backing pad, whatever you want to call it. These are a set of 6 I bought on Amazon for like $20. As you can see, over time, they fall apart. Velcro wears off, so it's nice to have a couple backups laying around. What I'm going to do here is give myself a nice little border around my repair area so that when I put the primer down, it's got something good to bite into. And that way we can prime small and go out bigger. Handle broke on this 6 years ago. I just love this DA so much I never want to get rid of it or replace it or even fix it. If it works, it works. Okay, so I can feel this is smooth. There's no high ridges. Nothing's catching my eye. So I'm going to get this wiped down real quickly, blown off, and we'll start laying some primer. We'll give ourselves some masking edges and go over that in a second. Okay, so I've got my airpiece, a clean microfiber cloth, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this in my hand like this and cup my wrist. I'm going to blow the air inside of the towel, and it's going to blow the towel up and almost make a pocket of air. And I'm going to push that pocket of air down onto the panel to get these sanding dust bits out of here. So, kind of like that. Now I'm not going to worry about 800 the entire panel. I'm going to wait till This is into primer. That way if I get any overspray dust on my lower or upper parts, I can just sand it right off when it goes into 800. Yes, you could 800 the whole panel. Like I said, if I was at the collision shop, that's what I would do, just to help the painter get one step ahead. More hours through the booth, more money in your pocket, faster return on your repair. But we're in the front yard, so we're not going to worry about that. Now what I do before I prime is I'm going to want to tape off the inside of this door, because I don't want any gray going where I don't need it to be. So I'm going to tape right here on the edge of the panel. Then when I go to do my color, I'll foam tape the inside of this door, and that will let color fall right in enough to cover this edge. Same thing with the back door. I'll show you guys that real quick. So we've got tape there, and we got tape there. Now what I'm going to do, usually, like I said, the handle would be pulled, the trim would be removed, but I'm just going to make a quick little dam with my paper towel. That way I don't get any hard lines. Never, ever, ever, ever put tape down and prime. You will get a hard line. It will take you forever to get out. You will always see it. So what I do, like I said, this is just for this. Take that, fold it upwards in almost a circular, just like a hot dog. Now instead of a hard line, we've got a nice curve. I'm not going to be priming up there anyways, but I don't want my overspray to make any marks or anything like that. The rest of it's pretty self-explanatory. You've got hard body lines down here that you could prime up to and mask off, but I'm just going to keep my repair centered and I don't have to use that. Less material is wasted. So I've got my edge primer for my bare metal, and I've got U-Pull high build primer. Never want to leave bare metal. Don't ever primer over bare metal. Let's give this a quick wipe down real quick so I remove this dust. I'll help that dry. Don't ever want to let your wax and grease remover dry on the panel. That's all you need, just enough to cover the metal. Let that flash off for a couple minutes, we'll hit it with some primer. Okay, now that that's had a couple minutes to flash off, this has had like 2 minutes shake. I'm going to try to start small and work our repair out. I don't want to go too far into what I haven't sanded because that's going to create unnecessary layers. And that'll work for the first coat. I think I might have forgotten to press the record button. Anyways, for handle removal, there's a screw right here. You loosen the screw, take the handle, pop it backwards, and it'll pop right out. There's a notch in there that the handle seeds into. pull that out and the door will open. This one had a keyless entry, so we just connected that. We're good to go. So for the removal of the belt molding, this one's pressure clipped in. So what I like to do, get a pry tool up underneath, pop that, and then you'll take your fingers and roll your wrist backwards, and that will release these pressure clips from the back and pops right off. Pry tool, $5 for a set of 4 from Harbor Freight. This is of course double-sided taped, because I mean why wouldn't it be? Got my rubber wheel all set on the drill. You can also use your thumb as a rubber wheel too, but I mean if you want to be here for an hour doing it, be my guest, but I won't bore you with that. Okay, now that we've gotten a few of our pieces off, I'm going to pull the mirror in the morning when I take the door panel apart. Don't have time for that right now, really. The paint prepper part of me is going ballistic that I have not yet finished my panel. So I've got my red Scotch pad and my gray Scotch pad. We do not need to use the red one because this is not a black or a white vehicle, so we will be using gray. So, re-angle the camera. I'm just going to follow along the edges, that way I know that everything gets scuffed, and I'll go back around the mirror gasket in the morning. I want to get everything scratched up so we know that our paint will stick everywhere. Also go over all the body lines, because you don't want a DA over a body line. That's where paint is thinnest, on the top of the bridge, and you don't want to break through there and have to put color up here when you just put color down here to keep your repair area as small as possible. I think it's time for a new scuff pad. You want to go until it turns just haze. Like I said, if I was at the collision shop, I would do this to help the prepper, help the painter. The faster the prepper gets your car done, painted, and back to you, the faster you can get your repair done, paid for the work order. Time is money. Especially if you're a flat rate technician, you know that all too well. The paint department where I was at was hourly. The painter got paid flat rate. But please enough body men, get their stuff back to them quick enough, you find yourself getting paint bonuses every month, which is sweet. Could pay my rent with one of those bonuses. Next step, I'm going to get the DA, my backing pad, 800 grit, float over this panel, get some scratches on it, get everything dulled out, and in the morning, I'll show you how to guide coat primer, get that blocked, get our final repair area ready, throw some plastic on her, sealer, color, clear. Be done. Like I said in the beginning, always tape off anything you don't want sand scratches on. You scratch this plastic down here, you'll never fix it. You'll be buying a new panel, new piece. Excuse me. Okay, I like that enough. Go get the DA. 800 grit with the backing pad. I'm not going to go into my primer spot because it's still probably a little soft. I'm just going to get close enough to my 320, that way in the morning I can sand everything else. Same method as before, pushing the air down with a towel. Now, obviously, we've got a couple spots that could use a little bit more love, but I'll address that in the morning once our primer is blocked and sanded and plastic's ready to go on. So, see you in the morning. Now that our panel is fully prepped, I'm going to go ahead and guide coat it. You can use paint, but I like to use the dry guide coat. And by paint, I mean the paintable guide coat, aerosol can. So this is going to identify high spots and low spots. Any spot that's still black is low. Any spot that sands off is high. Normally I don't use guide coat. I can feel it. I've been doing this long enough, but I want this one to look really nice. It's for a family friend. So we always sand from flat edge to flat edge. Never go back and forth. Never go up and down. That'll make lines. We sand diagonally, it keeps your panel smooth and even. Okay, now that my panel is completely flat, I'm going to go over it just a few more times. Just send it down another 32nd of an inch to even like a 64th, just enough so I know that it's not going to make a primer ring when I lay my sealer down. That's starting to break through, so I know I need to stop. Now I'm going to run my DA over it with my vacuum pad just to remove any other scratches from any other grits that might have wandered off. Nothing worse than getting into sealer and finding a couple 80 grit scratches that you missed. That's that. I'm going to go over my missed spots with my 800. Here. I just didn't want to get into the primer last night. Didn't want to throw any dust in it or anything. I don't usually go over the primer with 800 because I don't want it smooth. I want it to have those 320 grit scratches. You can use 400. Paint will fill 400 grit scratches. So I'm going to get this blown off and we're going to throw some plastic on it and then we're about ready to start. Okay, I'm going to start getting this mask off. First thing I'm going to do is the inside of my doors because I'm going to be blowing color right here at this seam where they meet up. Normally you would use tape that has paper on it, but I don't have any. So we're just going to do a couple layers of tape. And I'm putting this just on the back of where the door skin meets the frame. Now, just to clarify, because I know someone's going to say something, I did not pull these bottom trim pieces because there's about 15 clips, pressure clips that run down this piece. The piece brackets are going to break before the clips pop out. This vehicle is for a family friend, so she's on a very tight budget, having a new baby. I want to keep as much money in her pocket as I can without her needing to buy 2 new bottom pieces of plastic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape up to the bottom of this, and as soon as my last coat of clear is done, I'm going to pull this bottom tape, and that's going to let the clear play around with gravity and just pull it the tiniest bit right into that crack in between the two of them. It'll never peel. I know, it's not scuffed in there, it's going to peel, it's blah blah blah. It'll be alright, trust me. So I'm going to back tape as much as I possibly can. This one I'm going to flat tape, I'm going to let it blow. Put a piece of tape in here. Okay, we are buttoned up. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to eliminate any cracks of where air and clear could blow in through the panel, jump itself up onto the plastic, or even break through the back of it. Then you'll have overspray in random places all over the vehicle. It'll look like hazy spots. It'll kind of look like that. It's just dust. Now normally at the collision shop, this glass would be rolled down, these panels, these trim pieces would probably be removed. Just something to help you get a cleaner tape line. The more you can remove, the better. These I place in flat down. I'm going to fold it into itself. A little dusty in there. For this front zip, I'm going to actually tuck it behind the door and then stick it to the fender. And that'll just keep paint from blowing into that gap. Go about maybe an inch into the door. Just going to put an extra piece of tape down here on this bottom lip. That way when I run the razor blade over it, it doesn't break through and drag a scratch all the way down her plastic trim. Just had a little gap that I didn't like. There we go. Alright, just a final inspection. I see everything's covered, everything's masked, everything's scuffed. Inside handles are scuffed around here. Belt moldings, mirror, trim. I think we're ready to throw some plastic on it. So this is automotive plastic. You'll see right here, there's an arrow on it. That shows you which direction that you need to point the plastic at the vehicle. So if you're at the back of the vehicle, it's going to face this way, pointing the vehicle. Same thing as for the front, face that way for the vehicle. That's because this is going to generate a static charge that's going to actually stick itself to the vehicle. And it'll even say paint this side on it. You can see some of the letters. This is a roll that I've been piecing at, but I've got a couple other rolls that I'm going to use for this one. Knife, cut that off. Okay, first I'm going to start at the front of the vehicle, open up the first side. I'm going to get the second flap ready. Then in the middle of the plastic you'll find the seam, and that's in the middle of the plastic you'll find the seam, and that's what's going to open it up to go over the vehicle. And that inside lip is what's going to stick, so we'll start at the top, kind of parachute it over like you did in gym class. Make sure that this is nice and straight on the vehicle. And lock it down. I'm going to grab a fresh razor blade. So I'm going to unfold my other corner. And I'll show you how to lock this to the vehicle. Fold in my mirror so that there's less pockets for air to move around the vehicle under the plastic, because that'll grab overspray and throw it onto the panel. You want this to be as tight as possible. So I'll show you up front. I'm going to grab all my excess, ball it up, and wrap it under. I'm going to do that for all the corners. While I'm over here, I'm going to tape this down to the wheels. Some people use wheel covers, and that's totally fine. I'm going to grab this little extra right here. Want it tight, less air moving the better. If you're wondering about this, common sense, don't smack into the metal. In case I open a door too far or anything like that. Okay, now we're going to get the vehicle cut out after I tape off the front rear tire. Okay. So for this, take a fresh razor blade, and we're gonna just barely glide along the tape. Not enough to even cut the tape, but enough to cut the plastic. If you go too far, you're done. For this one, I'm gonna start at the bottom. I'm going to cut it down right here so I can wrap this excess up into my tire. I'm doing half and half. That way I can get a nice 50% cut. And I can lay my tape half on the plastic and half on the existing tape. All right, we are ready. I'm gonna grab my scuff pad and just hit any spots that might look a little shiny still. Okay, we're gonna get this wiped down, some sealer mixed up. Okay, my back garage is an absolute disaster where all my paint mixing materials are, so I'm just gonna give you a quick visual. So this is sealer. Sealer is gonna block any of that primer from bleeding through the top coats. Some people use it, some people don't. I like the peace of mind knowing that I'll be okay. So I've got a Nason brand sealer, hardener. Most of these will say on the back what the mixing ratio is, so you can see right here, it says 4:1 to 1. So 4 is your sealer, 1 is your hardener, and if you wanted to reduce it, that would be your next 1. So we'll find our mixing. So right here, 4:1 to 1. So we're gonna bring, I'm gonna say this is gonna need less than 1, but if you wanted to, you could do 2 for your sealer, the next line of 2 for your hardener, and the third line of 2 for your reducer. Same as anything. We'll go get that mixed up and we'll start spraying that. We're gonna do 1 coat of sealer. I was told always 1 coat, let it flash 8 minutes, go to color. So we'll get that going. Okay, so now that I got my sealer mixed up, we're gonna do the final wipe down and then we're gonna tack rag. This tack rag is basically like a piece of cheesecloth that's sticky. That's gonna pull all the loose dirt and dust off the panel. Once you get this new, open the entire thing up, ball it up. Use it real loose. I like to keep this nice and safe. I'm gonna start with wax and grease first. Looks like my canister has lost its air pressure. I don't like that. This can is older than I am. Goes over. I'm gonna hit it with the water. Just a quick recap, that's DX330. Any wax and grease remover is fine. This is a low VOC water cleaner, SX394. The Zebra Stripe Eraser. Now some people are going to say you should do a wet bed on this, which just means that you go over it with a clear, basically a clear paint called blender. I'm not going to do that. Partially because my blender was up at the boat marina because we were flaking a boat. And I've done this enough times. Honestly, I never really see a difference. Sure, your metallics might lay down differently, but this isn't a metallic color. It's a pearl. Okay. Like I said, one lightish, medium-ish coat of sealer. I was always taught if the sealer looks good, the paintwork will look good. So this is always my favorite step. Let's go. 35 pounds of air. I can hear it. You can adjust on the compressor. You can dial it in with a gun. You know. That makes me kind of salty. I really like that separator. I used to have an inline trap. That was a long time ago, and that filter needs replaced bad. So, all right, let's go. There we go. I always like to test my fan pattern on the plastic, that way I don't throw any shit into the panel when I start. That's it. Sealer is done. Sealer looks great. Off the color in 8. Okay, I've got my color mixed up. It's a 2-to-1 ratio, so 2 parts base, 1 part reducer. I think we're ready to go. Same thing, 35 PSI. I'm gonna do probably 3 or 4 coats, and you'll see me, I'll go back and forth, but then on a couple passes, I'll cut it diagonally, and that helps to eliminate tiger stripes, which just basically means you can see the fan pattern of the gun. So let's get to it. Okay, that'll be first coat. All right, second coat. Okay. 5 minutes till 3. Okay, here we go, 3. I like it. Okay, here we go, 5. The color looks good, but I just want to make sure that there's going to be no bleed through, no color difference. Once you get it in the sun, it's a completely different game. All right, I think that'll do. Let's clear it. Okay, so the base coat was a mix of 2 to 1, and you're gonna spray the base in a 50-50 overlap pattern. So that means however much you do with this, you cover it 50-50. With my clear, I like to go 25%. So I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm gonna move it up 1, 2, 3, 4, and then move it up 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm only gonna be covering about this much with each overlap. That's just how I know this gun sprays. It looks great. Let's do it. I just wanted to thank everyone for taking the time to watch my first ever how to fix a scratch tutorial. If you picked up some knowledge, awesome. If you want to leave some knowledge, that's even better. Please feel free to like and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content like this. Enjoy this beautiful day.